ever since Thomas Coke and Francis Asbury served as our first Methodist bishops, the Episcopal leaders of our church have always been on the move. Where ordained elders are open to a move every year, United Methodist bishops are open for a move every quadrennium, a funny church word that means every 4 years. And this movement of bishops is handled in the most Methodist way possible, by a committee. After the jurisdictional conference elects bishops to fill any vacancies, and be sure to catch the videos on that. After all the bishops are elected, the jurisdictional committee on episcopacy goes to work. In the Western jurisdiction, they have 5 bishops to place in 5 different areas. Those areas are Greater Northwest, made up of Alaska Missionary, Oregon, Idaho, and Pacific Northwest. The Mountain Sky, made up of Rocky Mountain and Yellowstone. Phoenix, which is Desert Southwest. Los Angeles, California Pacific. And Sacramento, California, Nevada. This jurisdictional committee on episcopacy, this team of people, is made up of 1 clergy person and 1 lay person, non-clergy, from each of the 8 annual conferences in the Western jurisdiction. This team has met with the bishops at least once a year for the last 4 years to build relationship, guide the bishops in an evaluative process, and also help the bishops interpret their work to the jurisdiction as a whole. After the final election happens at jurisdictional conference, they also meet with any newly elected bishops to reflect on the same information they would have on hand for the continuing bishops. Questions like, what of your experiences might best bless different areas? Where do you believe you can best serve the needs of the church? And the most important question I've asked of all clergy, what are your gifts and graces for the practice of ministry? The overarching question for every episcopal assignment is, what will best serve the missional needs of each and every conference? Where will each bishop best serve the work of the church to make disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world? That is the starting point. But such questions aren't the only things that shape where bishops will be assigned. A newly elected bishop does not go back to the conference from where they were elected. It's also a tradition that bishops serve 8 years in an area and only do an extra 4 getting to 12 under very special circumstances. Then you factor in who's retiring when and who's already served where, and well, as you can see, it gets complicated. So what actually happens in the room after the missional and practical questions are considered? It involves a lot of prayer and a lot of sticky notes. Throughout the entire process, the committee is praying for wisdom, for guidance, for the decisions they will make that they might truly bless the conferences, churches, and ministries they affect. The representatives from each conference come up with a personal list of ideas and preferences. Then they have to come to consensus with their counterpart from home. Then if there's more than 1 conference in an episcopal area, like in Mountain Sky or Greater Northwest, those teams from each of the conferences then reach a consensus together as a whole area. Once there's a consensus from each area, the results get put up on a board and comparison begins. Reasons are shared, concerns are shared, questions are asked, and then every permutation possible is considered, moving this one here, and what about that one there, and what if this one, and how about here, and then there's more prayer. Eventually, the group comes to a consensus as a whole. At the 2016 Western Jurisdictional Conference, the Committee on Episcopacy started their work at 9:30 p.m. and calls went out to bishops at 2:30 a.m. And ours was the best discernment I've been a part of in a long time. A lot of moves came out of that room. Bishops who thought they were staying in one area are now getting ready for change. Change that I will tell you was spirit-led, sacredly respected, and then improved by the jurisdictional conference as a whole. For the Mountain Sky area, this means that Bishop Elaine Stanovsky will be leaving us, and we will be welcoming Bishop Karen Oliveto. The second part of this video series will share with you some of the exciting reasons Bishop Oliveto is heading our way.